So Andrew, how generally is technology being used within wealth management today?
So in terms of how technology is used today in wealth management, I think the last decade has seen a lot of implementation of large platforms, well-established platforms that address core banking and CRM needs. I think moving forward, we see the opportunity in the adoption of frontline tools for the bankers, for the dealers, and for the product advisors.
And more specifically, how are bankers using front-end tools?
I think there are two particular areas, and at both sides of the spectrum. So on one side is the need for more low-touch, fast execution technologies. So what I mean by that is the client, Dr. Chan, engaging a banker interested about a product, wants to get a particular available price or quote and to be able to transact. Today that process is still very, very manual, involving many steps with operational risk. So I think technologies can certainly provide a lot of value there. One of the particular areas that we're working on is to be able to provide a platform that enables bankers to interact with dealers and product providers in a way that they can access price, compare products, and be able to transact that efficiently.
So what do people mean when they talk about low touch and high touch?
So the low touch element and how technology comes in is obviously efficiency, automation, and to be able to make that whole transaction process much more streamlined. Then moving on to the other significant opportunity, we believe, is on the high-touch side, and that's the nexus between being able to link ideas, to be able to link client requirements to potential product solutions. We think that's a very interesting space because today the bankers are not armed with, in my belief, the right tools to be able to do their job properly. What I mean by that, of course, is the more experienced bankers are able to associate client requirements, changes in market events to available product solutions or investment solutions. But the broad majority of bankers can certainly do with some assistance in that area. I think technology has an interesting role to play there.
Do you have any examples of this?
So an example of that would be the banker wakes up every day on the way to the office. They may read their daily digest of news. Those news can be associated to relevant events within the client portfolio or available investment product solutions. Technology can actually work in a way that then creates a very clear activity list or a call to action. So based on this market news, these are some interesting product offerings. Here's some information about those product offerings, and then here are the particular clients that will be suitable to speak. And that's an area that I think has a significant market opportunity.
Andrew, there's an expectation that there's going to be a greater influx of Generation Y bankers, and they're going to make up a greater proportion of the front line. So what does this mean for how technology is likely to be engaged going forward?
Well, certainly the client experience is everything, and that's certainly for the customer as well as the banker. I think the simplicity comes from being able to filter through the noise of all the news and all the particular market events, and to be able to present that in a very simple, digestible way. So I talked about the concept of a daily digest or a link or feed. That's something that we've seen already adopted in many other social media forums and channels, and that's increasingly being adopted in some of the frontline tools that we're offering and some of the other technology providers in the industry.
Andrew, in what ways will technology fundamentally change advisory offerings in wealth management?
Well, I think the broad macro trend on the adoption of technology is how could it assist both an industry here in Asia, which is broadly transaction-based, to its aspirations of evolving to more of an advisory, active advisory model.
And what do you think are likely to be some of the biggest technology-led game changers in the industry over the next 5 to 10 years?
Its role will not necessarily be one whereby there is a debate of whether the machine can do more than the human, but really more that how the technology can do a lot of the number crunching, a lot of the grunt work to almost in an eye concierge like way be able to provide the banker with the information they need at the right time. So certainly looking forward, we see that as an increasing trend in terms of how technology will be adopted. But it must be very simple and it must be very easy to use.